Welcome everyone from the studios of Public Access Television. This is the official forum for the candidates running for the position of directors on the Board of Education for a term of 2 years. This is sponsored by Public Access Television and produced by Dr. Hani Al-Qadi. We have 3 moderators. We've got Dr. Hani Al-Qadi, who is our producer and moderator from the Press Citizen Writer Group and producer of Education Exchange. He has taught in London University College of Medicine, the University of Iowa College of Medicine for 12 years, and in Iowa City School District for the last 20 years. We have Karen Nichols. She's an education writer and editor, as well as the parent of a student, and she has a spouse who is a teacher in the Iowa City Community School District as well. And there's me. My name is Acacia Roberts. I'm a recent University of Iowa graduate with a degree in French as well as linguistics. I've been recently awarded a Fulbright in Morocco, so I'm here being a future educator, and I'll be teaching at University Mohammed Zank before I return to continue graduate school. Our candidates are Chris Liebig, is that correct? Okay. Paul Roesler, okay, and Megan Schwalm, all fun names. And then how this will go is we'll have 4 sections. We'll have Hani come up, ask you some questions with shorter answers. We'll have Karen come up, ask you a series of questions. You'll have a minute, she'll time you, and then I'll come up and ask you some questions as well, another timed activity, and if we have time, we'll have you guys tell us your statements of why you're running. So I will introduce Dr. Hani Al-Qadi, our producer and main moderator.
Thank you, Acacia. It's really wonderful to be in this position and get all the credit and got all the praise. But in the meantime, it's painful because there are a lot of people who have done the work and you don't see them. Even in the simple announcement in the paper, they say, Dr. Hani Al-Qadi is producing this. It looks like I have done the work alone, but I could not have done this without my collaborators here, without the people of Public Access TV that have offered all the help and the assistance they can. And we had actually received how many? 900 questions? More than 900 questions to verify and compile and all that. And I'm not going to tell you the details of the amount of work that Karen and Acacia have done, but they have done a lot of editing and putting things together and arrangement. And in the meantime, this is a pure production of Public Access TV. It has no affiliation with any organization, including the education headquarters. They have no say of what we do here. This is purely the voice of the democratic voice of our citizens here, which is Public Access TV. Directing this part of this session is Brian Butt, a very talented actor, producer, director, one of the great assets of Public Access TV, in addition to Sarah Tate, who are there in the control room. They are not on the limelight like me. So those are the unknown soldiers behind the success of this program. My part is I'm going to make a couple of statements, 15 statements, and I will get your feedback. You are either for it, means yes, or you would discuss it later or think about it later, or it's up for your discussion and investigation, or you reject it. And I will mention them. I would like to go quick so that Karen doesn't get angry with me like last session happened. So the first one is allowing community members to speak to agenda items during board meeting. Yes or no, or I consider it, think about it.
I think we need to revisit our new practice on when we allow community members to speak.
Paul?
I would say no.
I would say unlimited commenting at the beginning of the meeting, if not at the agenda.
Number 2 is full support of the facilities master plan.
Mostly yes, but not full.
I fully support the facility master plan.
I support the facility master plan, although I'm not happy with the way some of the decisions were made.
Number 3 is full support of the district's equity statement.
I'm very supportive of the district's equity statement, but I think we still need to have more discussion on it.
Supportive.
Absolutely yes.
Modify STEM from just science, technology, engineering, and math, and adding art to it, turn it into STEAM. Would you support this, study it, or against it?
Yes, definitely.
Very much for it with the inclusion of the arts.
For all those things, though, I don't know it makes sense to single them out as the 5 things.
Number 5, adopting the Illinois model of the free public charter school. And again, let me explain. Illinois has a different model of charter school than what you used to have like in Minnesota or in Wisconsin. These are free public schools. They have an open enrollment. They offer a unique curriculum, and they are not, like owned by a corporate or something like that. It's not for profit. Would you support this if we have a charter school here system in the district of Iowa City?
Needs more discussion.
I'm not supportive of charter schools, but I would like to look at other ways, such as magnet schools.
I'm absolutely in favor of magnet schools, but I think we need more discussion about charter schools.
Number 6 is locking down a school if a gun is discovered there.
Absolutely. I believe in the Alice training, and that's part of it.
Yes.
Yes.
And number 7 is Iowa core standards, benchmarks. You know this. I mean, you are doing your PhD in education, so what do you think
I am
about that?
Doing my PhD in educational policy. No, I think with the core standards, we end up teaching to the test, and I think that's incredibly problematic. We then fail to teach kids things like critical thinking, which is incredibly important when they get out into the real world.
I think there are some things that we can take away from the core, but I would like to discuss it more and not have it be the sole thing that we focus on.
I'm mostly skeptical of the Iowa core and the process that developed it.
Thank you. Expansion of the transition and alternative program in Iowa City School District. Transition, those are programs that are dealing with at-risk population of our kids. And they are supposed to offer them an alternative to the conventional setting where you are treated more like a number. Here you are one-on-one instruction, individualized instruction tailored for your needs and so forth. Would you, for expansion of this or for restriction of it or for getting away completely with it?
I'm supportive of that idea.
I would be supportive of that idea. It's very important that we get through those kids and help them as much as we can.
Yes, definitely. I also think we need more differentiated learning across the district.
So number 9 is supporting the district future facilities through the, let us say, 2017 bond issue.
I'm very supportive of the bond issue being passed.
We need to pass a bond. I think the devil is in the details, and we need to work on the proposal to make sure that it will pass.
I believe we need to pass the 2017 bond in order to come closer to achieving facilities equity in our district.
And instead of teaching Black history for 1 month every year, every school year, there is a suggestion of studying American Black history throughout the entire year. Are you supportive of this, or you think about it, or you're against?
Absolutely. Black history is American history. It should be included in all of our history lessons.
I agree with what Megan said. Black history is part of American history and should be included. I also think we need to make sure that our teachers teach and know what they're teaching about and are very effective in doing it.
Yes, Black history should be integrated into American history teaching.
The merit pay system rewards teachers who have notable or very remarkable achievements, their kids, as far as the test scores and the grade point average and so forth, and standardized tests and all that. Would you support merit pay, which is rewarding teacher financially if their kids achieve? But put in mind that you're going to face a problem here if this teacher is teaching alternative kids or teaching special ed.
I think it's a problematic concept because of the way that it's measured. I also think job security is an important element of compensation.
Thank you.
I do not support merit pay. I think there's too many variables that will go into it and be very problematic.
No, absolutely not. I appreciate that you brought up special education. I like that example. I have a child who has special needs, and his test scores would not have reflected great progress last year, but his teacher absolutely changed his world and changed my world, and she should be compensated for that, not his test scores.
Thank you. The No Child Left Behind law, let us call it law, has good part of it is teaching to the test. Do you approve this? Would you support that?
I absolutely do not approve teaching to the test. Our teachers run out of time to teach the other things when they're trying to focus on one subject and getting that test.
Thank you.
I think No Child Left Behind has been disastrous and has imposed a very reductive vision of education on America.
It's good that you can say that. I can say that.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of No Child Left Behind. And as I stated before, I'm not in favor of teaching to the test.
Revisiting the dress code to make it more understandable for parents and staff.
We absolutely need to revisit the dress code. I see our dress code as being sexist and heteronormative, and we definitely need to address that.
Paul.
I think the short answer is yes, we need to readdress that.
I agree with Megan and Paul.
Metal detectors as security measures in schools, as we have in the airports and some big apartment stores in big cities.
Metal detectors are not very welcoming, and I wouldn't want them in our schools.
Neither would I.
No.
Competitive betting for service contracts.
Absolutely, with the caveat that I think we should give preference to local bidders.
I'm for competitive bidding, and I think our district has started to put that into place where they are awarding point-based system.
I'm in favor of competitive bidding.
I'm going to read a statement that I picked it up from a lot of statements that I read during the last couple of weeks while we are paving the way for elections of the boards in the state. And this one reads as follows. Iowa lawmakers have let us down. Most appalling, though, is they have let down hundreds of thousands of K-12 students. We know that lawmakers have again put district officials in limbo by not approving funds for the year 16-17. By not approving funds, our legislators are breaking the law and appear to feel okay with that. Educating our students is not a game, and it shouldn't be treated as such. At election time, when incumbent lawmakers are seeking another term, we hope the people of Iowa will think about classrooms with as many as 30 students or about the fine educators who may have received pink slips. The Press Citizen, June 6, Our View, main editorial. Your feedback.
Sure. I agree with that that editorial. I think it's very important that we get the education funding that we need, and I don't think that all the legislators that are in place should be voted out, but I think that we should make sure that it's a high priority.
I agree. I think they're underfunding education, and I also think they're attaching too many demands to the money that they are giving us instead of letting it be more responsive to what our community wants.
I agree with the editorial.
And now with Karen Nichols to go more specific and more details than me. Karen.
Thank you.
I'll try to make this relatively painless. As Honey said, we did collect, I think it was more than 800, close to 900, something like that, questions. He did a lot of the culling of the ones that were repetitive, and I did some combining of questions that were kind of asking the same thing. And then we sort of voted on what was left. The way this will work is, and I am going to need my, keep grabbing my phone right over there, it's plugged in, because I'm going to time you guys. Yes, each of you will have 1 minute for each question. Each of you will have 3 questions if things go according to plan. And what I'm going to do is I have this handy dandy little gadget thing on my phone, and I will give you each a minute, and it'll make a little funny sound, but you might see me starting to look distressed if you're getting close to that. So, okay, let's see. I'm going to draw a question, and some of these you may have heard before in previous segments, and some of them will be brand new. Some may be from, I know we have at least one question there from an existing board member. Some may be from one of us, and I think the bulk of them you will find will be from community members, maybe some teachers as well. So I'll take one. I will let you know who is going to read it first before I draw it, and I'll read it, and who will answer it rather, and I'll read it, and like I said, give you a minute to answer. So this first one will be for Chris. Okay, I think we've heard this one before. Define the term magnet school. Tell whether you would like this model to be incorporated in the landscape of our school system.
I have to admit, I'm a little, I don't want to say I'm hostile to the idea, but I have questions about the idea of magnet schools. When we are stretched so thin and we need to make sure that we are giving all of our schools a great education, and some of these ideas for magnet schools sound terrific, but I wonder if it's sending us a little bit on a detour into something that's going to create a couple of really great schools while we have 20 elementary schools. And so I just, I want to hear all the arguments, and I'm not preconceived against it, but I do have some questions about how it's going to work and whether it will be something meaningful or kind of just a window dressing.
Okay, Paul, this one's for you. How would you maintain our outstanding fine arts programs in the face of looming budget shortfalls?
I think it's very important that we do focus on the fine arts. Arts, academics, and athletics, I think, are all equally important. Over the last year, when they did the budget cuts, they reassigned some teachers. They moved some art teachers into general ed classes. They moved music teachers into general ed classes. I, for one, my daughter may get one of those teachers at Lemmy this year, and I think that music teacher fully embraced that role. But I would like to see her back in the music role because that was her passion, and I think that we need to work back towards that. Make sure that when we get money again, that we are working to get those programs back to their full potential.
Okay, Megan. Do you agree with busing secondary students to schools that are further away from their homes than other secondary schools for the purpose of achieving balance? I guess I should say farther away.
No, I think that we should maintain neighborhood schools as much as possible. Obviously, we do need to look at balance in our district, but keeping kids close to home is important. For example, my family is going to be going to Alexander, which means we'll be going to West, which is extremely far from my home. My kids will be on the bus an hour and a half every day in order to get to junior high and high school, and that's incredibly problematic. I think there are other ways that we can address the inequities in our district besides busing kids on reasonable distances.
I look forward to hearing what those are. Okay. Chris, are project labor agreements a good idea for building projects in the school district? Why or why not?
Well, I'm not as familiar with this topic as I should be, although I did a little bit of research into it when the Federation of Labor asked me about it. I don't want to talk as if I fully understand the issue, but from my memory of the issue, I was predisposed, I think, in favor of what I was reading about project labor agreements. I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave it at that for now.
Okay, is that our last question? Give him another, Chris another question? Okay. What curricular change would you most like to see in the district and why?
Well, I would like to see, especially, I think the need is greater, but in the elementary school, I wish we had a little bit more of a focus on what I would consider to be the humanities. I understand, of course, the main task of elementary school is to make sure that people are literate and are able to begin learning math. But I think that kids at that age are hungry for talking about the big issues and about right and wrong, and not being told what the answers are, but to hash those things out, and which is basically the beginnings of philosophy, and I wish there was more of that available to them and in the upper grades as well.
No more questions, or
We can
continue?
2 more.
Okay, 2 more. Okay, Paul. Should Hoover be closed in order to achieve equitable facilities for City High, the high school that is also expected to serve Hoover students?
I definitely think that decision has already been made, and I would move forward with that decision, barring any increase in the number of students in that area or the way that the funds that we have received. Without the lack of funds, I don't think we can do it. I also think it's very important that we build the East Side New Elementary, develop that area, make that grow, and City High will need to expand. They're landlocked. I'd like to see the extra classrooms, the bigger gym space, the bigger cafeteria, all things that are needed that are very limited right now to where those can go.
Okay, last one from Megan. Describe your concept of the function of the board. Please cite an example when it should not get involved in the daily operations of the school district.
So the school board is a policy-making board. The job of the board is to set policy, to help guide administration in making the day-to-day decisions. I also think the board is there to ally with administration while also asking them tough questions and holding them accountable. A big piece of my platform is administrative accountability, and so as a board member, I'm committed to holding administration accountable and holding them to the policies that we've set. Sorry, Hani cut me off, so I'm not going to get to the second part of your question.
Okay, that's okay. Well, I want to thank you all for coming today, and I'll tell you what I told the previous group, and this would apply to the first group as well, as I came into this as an undecided voter, and you all have made it much more difficult, so thank you again. Let's see, you know what, I'll take these.
Okay. I choked to death before I start. Okay. So I will ask each of you a question in this next segment. For this segment, we requested that all candidates submit a question directed specifically at another candidate. Not all candidates chose to do so. For the candidates for whom we do not have a specific question, I will draw out of a hat. It's just going to be you, Chris, and the other two have questions. So again, you'll only have a minute to answer. You guys are doing pretty well with that, so I don't think I need to come up and take the mic. And we will get started. I'll start with Chris. So shake this around. For your question, this comes from Latasha Deloach. What is your definition of racial equity, and what would you do as a board member to achieve this in our schools?
Well, I wish I had more than a minute. I think you have to start that answer by saying that to students who are either from low-income families or from racial minorities, that you are welcome in any of our schools. You are not a problem. You are not an obstacle. It is a privilege to have you in our schools, just like it is to have any student in our schools, and that is what the public school system is for. I do believe that the achievement gap, which I wish they would just call the wealth gap, is real, and that our school district needs to try to address it. And I agree that we should direct more resources towards schools that have more children who have greater needs for whatever reason, but it's certainly going to overlap with low income. I think I might be running out of time. I do have maybe not as much hope for using redistricting to address that problem, as some people have. I think people rich, poor, and in between want to go to a school that is close to their house if there is one.
Paul, this one comes from Megan. What is your perspective on the district dress code? Specifically, do you find it to be sexist or heteronormative?
I think we answered this earlier, but I definitely am in favor of revisiting that dress code. I think there's a lot of confusion there as to what can and can't be worn, and also how it is enforced school by school and teacher by teacher. I think there's a very different interpretation at each school and with each teacher. We discussed it earlier, and like I said, I think it's something that we definitely need to relook at.
Okay. And our last question in this segment comes from Paul to Megan. One point that you have emphasized in your campaign is respect for staff. What would you extend that one step more and say respect for administration?
Yeah, I think we need to respect administration. As a board member, or as a board, we are the boss of the superintendent, and I have very strong feelings about what it means to supervise someone, and part of that means showing an allied force in public. And so while I may not agree with administration on everything, I think that those are things that need to be hashed out behind closed doors, and then we work together in public, and that we need to show respect for each other. It seems that there's lots of gotcha moments currently happening at board meetings, and I'd like to see that stop, and that's something that I'm committed to as a board member.
Next, we have you guys' official statements for why you're running. I'd like you to read this or use it as a reference, and I guess let us know. You can begin. Okay.
I have been actively engaged in the Iowa City community for over a decade. My commitment to helping create an Iowa City that is an inclusive and vibrant community for all of its citizens has led me to seek elected office so that I can work to create change at a more systemic level. My goal is to help create equitable learning opportunities for all students. I believe this is best achieved by placing a greater focus on administrative accountability, respect for staff, and keeping kids first. And then also this asks why the 2-year term, so I'm gonna go ahead and read that as well. As a single mom of 2 kids, one of whom has special needs, right now I am confident that I can commit to this position for the next 2 years. My expectation is that I will be well positioned to run again, but I think it is most responsible that I commit to 2 years and then reevaluate, especially given all that I intend to give to this position.
Thank you.
I'm a product of the Iowa City Community School District, as is my wife, and she is currently a teacher in the district. I have kids in this district schools. These schools are important to me. I'm committed to the district, and I'm passionate about it remaining one of the best districts. I think the 10-year facility master plan is one of the best things the district has tackled recently, and I would like to see it continued and be completed. With that said, we have a divided community that needs to be brought back together, and I would like to try and help build that bridge back.
I'm running for the school board because I'm concerned about how many decisions seem to be made without sufficient regard to community input. I'd like to see the board think more critically about policy proposals and, when necessary, stand up to the administration to ensure that the voice of the community is brought to bear. I believe in the great potential of a democratically responsive public school system.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for answering my questions. And now we have Dr. Hani Al-Qadi.
Closing. Well, Megan, do you have any, you still have a minute if you want to take it, so go ahead. Go ahead, answer the part that I cut you off.
Oh, I don't remember now what that was. There was a second part to Karen's question.
Is there
that I don't
anything
know.
nagging in your mind? You can use your minute or half a minute to explain that.
Yeah, I guess I'll just talk real quickly about my platform. One of the things that the first piece of my platform is keeping kids first. I want to see a board that asks themselves the question, how will this impact kids with every decision that they're making? And I want to see a board who takes the time to discuss issues with students. Our students have wonderful ideas about what should happen in the district, and they're the people who are most impacted by district decisions. So I would like to see us reaching out to kids and talking with them about what they think the issues are and how those issues can be resolved. Can I keep going?
Let us see if your friends here have some anything to add? Do you see you have about half a minute? Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that there's a lot of great things happening in the district right now that a lot of the times these elections have been focused on the negative side. I'm very happy to see the new schools that are being built, the additions that have happened at Penn and Twain this year, and I look forward to continuing to see those things progress so that we do have a good things going in our district, and they're not just all the negative points that come up.
And Chris, who has been running from New York,
Drove 500 miles to come to this
yeah.
meeting today.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, I guess I would add, in addition to responsiveness to the community, to make sure that decisions are made in consultation with the people who are affected by them and with enough lead time that the board can respond to community input when it becomes available.
I hope you feel proud of yourself as we are proud of you, because, as I said before in the last two sessions, that you are heroes, and whether you win or you don't win, you are a winner. And you have to know that and walk with pride and dignity and walk as a winner in the community, because you are the people who said that's our time, that's our effort for you and for our kids who are desperately need the service of you. I wish we can vote for all of you, and then we'll have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing board. So on your behalf, on the behalf of our audience who are with us now on the line, as well as on the air later, I would like to thank everyone, especially the staff of Public Access TV, for all the help, all the assistance, and for you coming forward and being the heroes of our evening. Thank you.
Thank you.